Hello, this is Chris, your friendly neighborhood fitness man, and this is the Get Fit Now series.
Take it easy.
Nutrition. Today we are going to be discussing what you eat. Right now, before you start thinking that the food Nazis are coming back into your life to lay siege to your perfectly balanced diet, let me assure you that you are going to have complete control over this process. Right? You are going to be making all the choices, you are going to be learning all the new habits, and you are going to be empowered to do this in a way that truly works for you long term. And I'm going to show you how. First, we have to understand what nutrition is. The word nutrition has a Latin root, and that root means to nourish. All right, so what we're going to discuss mainly today is understanding if we are truly nourishing our bodies with the food that we're eating. All right, and once we get a firm hold on that concept, we'll be able to make better choices from a comfortable position. Some people might say, hey, you know what? If I work out like an animal, I go in the gym, I run a whole lot, I do all these things, I'm going to achieve my fitness goals. And you know, there are many people who believe that because they have that fitness appearance, and that's fantastic that they look good. But it's really about being healthy on the inside as well as the outside. A perfect example of me having this revealed to myself, I was working as an earth science teacher at a school for emotionally disturbed kids. You know, it was hard. I mean, these kids had a multitude of issues. Very few people actually accepted the idea that their nutrition could be contributing to the problem. Right? I was teaching earth science, and I had decided to help out and coach the soccer team, do some conditioning. And I'm not a soccer player, so that's not what it is. But it was mainly the conditioning, and that I was patient with the kids. I was using soccer as a medium to be able to help them to feel good and to just, you know, see some kind of progress in their life. But part of what I was doing with them was talking to them about a little bit about nutrition. So once I sat down with them and they got excited about making some changes and winning some games and doing some stuff, so I was like, all right, great. So I went and sat down with a nutritionist at the school and made a couple of suggestions and said, hey, you know, why don't we change their diet a little bit? Add a couple of this, move a little bit of that out, and, you know, and see what happens. You know, it'll be good for them on the field. They'll do better. They'll perform better. The nutritionist said, you know what? That is within the parameters of what they need. We're good. Let's give it a shot. Okay? Aside from winning a few games, their behaviors started to change. The kids actually started doing better in class. They started having less behavioral problems. And that's when I first realized how big this fitness thing is. This fitness thing, you know, if you're just looking to lose a couple of pounds, that's fantastic and I'm happy for you. But understand that these fitness principles, once properly applied to your life, can transform everything that you're doing. Just like it did for these kids. They made a couple of dietary changes, and then they were able to not just perform better on a soccer field, but also in the classroom and also in their life. There are two reasons why we consume the food that we consume. One is, of course, the natural need to feed our bodies. It's a no-brainer, okay? So, you know, our body needs food. Without food, things get very difficult. The second is because of our emotions. What we're going to talk about today is establishing a system for you to be able to determine whether or not you're feeding your body or you're feeding your emotions. Understanding this truth can truly set you free. You are going to understand not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it. And understanding that why is going to give you the power to be able to change some behavior. All right, so without further ado, what does that really look like? How am I going to make these changes? Because if I knew how to do it, I wouldn't be sitting here looking at you. And that's the truth. All right, well, we spoke about this in the first video, right? The system that we have set in place is in your mind first, understanding fitness in its basic form, doing something today that makes your tomorrow better, then understanding progressions and applying them to your life, then looking at your beliefs and forming healthy, sustainable beliefs, and then finally expecting. When you have expectations focused on beliefs, that will help you to sustain your progress on this journey. All right, now I've thrown that concept out. Now you have that. You're armed with that. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to journal. All right, we're going to take an inventory of what's happening first before we start doing anything else. All right, Now, armed with the understanding that this is a progression, you are going to first understand what you're doing in your head and then start making decisions as you move forward in the future to gradually work towards your goal. You're journaling for a full week, 7 full days. What you're eating, when you're eating it, how much water you're drinking, so all the fluids, all of the food, everything that you put into your mouth goes into that journal, right? This is extremely important because now what we're going to see is a pattern, right? The pattern is what we're going to talk about, not so much what you're eating. So the food Nazis can stay in their camp. They don't have to come. The focus here is going to be not what you are doing, but why you're doing it and when you're doing it. Understand that during this week of journaling, you are going to do exactly everything that you would normally do. You don't have to drink more water. You don't have to cut more calories. You don't have to eat less carbs. We're not addressing any of that yet. We are establishing the pattern that you are following so we can know what to do moving forward. Okay, so you also understand what we're going to be doing in the weeks moving forward is we're going to use the information provided by this journal, and that'll help us to shed light on what it is that you're really doing in your life. You're going to have your food journal, and now the same thing you're going to do, aside from having your food journal, you're going to have another journal, and that's going to be an emotional journal. You know, when we have an emotional feeling, it's not typical that we sit down and go ahead and write about it. But in this situation, that's exactly what we're going to do. It's not necessary that you walk around all day with your emotional journal, but it is important that at the end of every day, you put something into that journal. All right. During the day, it's a good idea to have a notepad with you so you can jot down a few things that you might want to keep in mind so that when you sit down in the evening with your emotional journal, you can then put down all of the things that happened and how you felt about them. Right now, what we're going to do at the end of this process, at the end of these 7 days, we're going to take the information from the nutritional journal and the information from the emotional journal, and we're going to compare the two. We're going to see if some of these emotions and these feelings coincide with actions that you've actually done in your life, right? And once we can take all of this information, we're going to have a very clear picture of how you're feeling. We're going to have a very clear picture of what you're doing, and that's going to be able to give you the ability to be able to make some effective changes moving forward. All right, so many people are going to look at this and say, okay, hey Chris, you know what? I've done the journaling thing. Why is this different from anything else that I've done? And I'm going to tell you the truth. Right? The reality of it is we're not even going to really be talking about diet in this situation. Diet, nutrition is a component. It's a secondary issue. The real issue is your mindset. That's the foundation of everything you're going to be doing. And that's mainly what we're going to be talking about. Now, there will be a part when we start addressing the nutrients and, the fats, the carbohydrates, the amounts of protein, your physical performance and things that you want to achieve. But first and foremost, before we do anything, we've got to lay that foundation. Just like building a house. So many times the reason why people fail in all of these endeavors is they start building this condo on the 5th floor. I am not an engineer, I am not a master construction worker, but I will tell you this, I know that you don't start at the top, you start at the bottom. And anything that we strive to do, it all originates from our minds and what it is we're thinking. And if we don't have those foundational principles in our heads already, then we can't hope to achieve long-term success because everything we build is going to be on sand. It's going to be swaying and rocking and rolling, right? By establishing all of these ideas in your mind, because of the journaling, for the first time, we're going to have a very clear picture of what you have going on in your head and what it's making manifest in your life, and that's what we're going to focus on to begin. In closing, if you received something from this video, if this helped you in any kind of way, please like and subscribe. And if you think you might know somebody who might benefit from this information as well, please share this with them. Fitness is free, and the reality of it is that this is knowledge that we all need to transform. I mean, we all have different areas of our life that we would like to see improvement in. And these principles, whether it be in fitness, in finances, in our relationships, it all applies to every aspect of our life. So always remember, the power to change is within us all, and you're more powerful than you can ever imagine. I'll see you next time on the Get Fit Now series. Take care.
Take take it easy.